Welcome to the Law School Insider, where we have conversations with students, lawyers, and employers.
Succeeding in law school is something that you must prepare for, not only before you begin, but throughout your law school journey, and that's what this podcast is all about. I am your host, Dr. Christopher Lewis, and I will draw from my over 20 years of experience in the college admission field, as well as bring forth the experiences of others as we delve deeper into the issues. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Law School Insider. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Lewis, and I'm so excited to be able to have you back again this week. This week, I am really excited to be able to have Stacy Burke with us. And Stacy is a lawyer down in Houston, Texas, who has her own firm that is working with businesses to help provide business solutions for law firms. So she's working with law firms on things like social media, website design, branding, marketing, advertising, and more. And, as we've said before, having a law degree allows for you to be able to do a lot of different things. And this is one aspect. This is another thing that you can be doing. So we're going to delve a little bit into this, delve into some of the things that she has found in her own career that has helped her find success to be able to help you find success in the end. So Stacy, thanks so much for joining us this week.
My pleasure.
It is my pleasure to have you on the show this week. As we always start this show, we turn the clock back. We go back in time a little bit because I want to hear your story and I want to know a little bit more about your journey into the law. What was it about the law that drew you in and sustains you today?
I think that on a very fundamental level, I've always really enjoyed school and enjoyed learning and performed well academically. And I knew that I wanted to get an advanced degree after undergrad, and I graduated from college early at 20 years old. My friends were all still in school and I had graduated early, and I went ahead and took the LSAT and applied to law school, having visited a few, and was accepted early decision to the University of Houston Law Center, which is where I'm from in Houston, Texas. And I thought, what a great opportunity for me to continue my education and to develop sort of valuable skills that would be applicable in a variety of contexts. So I wasn't necessarily going to law school to definitively become a litigator or any type of lawyer. I wanted the legal education to kind of see where it took me.
In regards to finding out where it took you, every person goes through a journey through law school. And in that journey, there are bumps and bruises along the way, and there's definitely a learning curve. What was one of the biggest, let's say, aha moments or surprises for you in going into law school, going through law school?
Sure. That's probably two. One is that my first year, I had always been someone that, school came pretty easily to me, and I did well in high school. I did well in college. And then I got to law school, and apparently that's where all of the people go that also do really well in school. So you're suddenly surrounded by people who also are historically academic achievers. And so whereas you may have been in the top 10% of your class or 25% of your class before, so has everyone else. And so you're surrounded by a lot of very intelligent people who are working very hard and taking it seriously. And you're not the smartest one in the room anymore, which is both inspiring and in some cases terrifying. So that was my first surprise. The second surprise is really the subject matter that wound up interesting me. I went in with a certain preconceived notions about which classes I thought I would both like and perform well in, and wound up being totally wrong. And so it was a pleasant surprise to get to try out different types of classes and see what I was drawn to and performed well in. And that kind of helped shape what I did in the future.
Well, it's always nice to be surprised in your law career and also in that law school experience. And there are definitely many surprises along the way. I've heard from many people about the surprise of the exam process and going through that process of what it's really like. And there are many other points along the way as well. As you went through law school, you got into your career, you chose a little bit different path. And you ended up now having your own firm. What was it that pushed you into let's say the entrepreneurial route and starting your own firm and now working with other law firms in the areas that you're working in?
Sure. I came out of school and was pretty young and, unencumbered. I didn't have a husband or children or anything like that. So I was able to go kind of straight into litigation and work whatever hours I wanted, work on whatever matters that I wanted, travel as I, came and went, however worked for me, kind of at the whims of my bosses. And I enjoyed it very much. My life circumstances changed, as a lot of people's do as we get older, and I got married and had kids. And during that time, I moved away from Houston and stayed home with my kids. And when I came back for kind of the second incarnation of my legal career, my lifestyle was different. And so the way that I approached my work life was different. I didn't want to be traveling all the time and away from my children. And I didn't want to work 80 hours a week. I wanted to work a little bit of less hours a week. And so my background is journalism. I've always been a good writer and enjoyed writing. And this is sort of when blogging was becoming a thing. And my boss said to me, "You're a good writer. You have a journalism background. We're going to start a blog. Why don't you write it?" And I said, "Okay." And so I started learning about, the back ends of websites and how to input blog posts and how to write in a way that's optimized for search engines. And for a little while, mostly just did that and sort of managed the digital marketing for the firm eventually. That grew into becoming more of my responsibilities at the firm than my litigation docket over time, because I was so successful for them at not only marketing to acquire cases, but, speaking to them on the intake side and converting them into customers, into clients. And so I sort of became well known in my area for doing what I do. There weren't that many attorneys at the time that were lawyers and marketers and did intake. And so a much larger firm hired me away from my first firm, and I was hired as a partner based on my marketing, business development, and client management prowess as opposed to my litigation prowess, which I thought was really exciting. I think there are a lot of alternative legal careers out there where you can stay in a firm but be really successful at something that you love, and that's sort of what wound up happening for me. I worked for a few years for that firm, and then I just, it was a very fast-paced. And I decided at a certain point that, all of this knowledge I've amassed, I really would like to use it to help other people, my friends and solos and small firm practitioners really own and control their own marketing. And so 3 years ago, I started doing this full time. I had been doing it part time while I worked my other job for a few years previously.
As a part of that journey and as a part of moving into your own practice and now working with firms in the way that I originally mentioned in regards to marketing and branding and more, you've gotten to be known as somewhat of an expert on talking about speaking and becoming more of a savvy speaker as a lawyer and talking about the importance of that to other lawyers. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of becoming a savvy speaker and what does that mean to you?
Sure. I think that starting from the very beginning of law school, I think a lot of us struggle to find our voice and how to speak in an appropriate way in various contexts that we're put into, whether it's class or an internship or we're a law clerk, all of these different contexts to going into court and beyond. Savvy speaking isn't just a speaking engagement. It's how you present yourself and carry yourself in every professional context that you're in. And I think that it is one of the most important skills, really, for any attorney, because you have to use those skills when you meet with potential clients who are going to hire you as their lawyer, even if you do transactional work and you're still meeting with people. And people are the bloodline of a professional services context, which is what law is. And so for me, I think that I found my way in speaking by joining a lot of legal sort of professional associations. I had some really nice mentors that encouraged me to join different groups or sponsored me to be a member of a board of directors of, the Houston Trial Lawyers Association was one of the first groups that I got very involved. Opportunity to help. These are volunteer groups and they need all the manpower that they can get. And my skill set was unique. And so my help was really wanted. And I got exposure to all different types of attorneys. And, you talk at meetings, you converse with the attorneys that are on the board with you or that are the president, and you'll get opportunities to do speaking engagements with these groups. And so I found that the more I immersed myself and exposed myself to the professional context, the more comfortable that I felt going bigger as time went on and taking on bigger speaking engagements and publication opportunities.
Now, for people that may not feel that they are a savvy speaker, let's say right now, what are maybe 3 steps 3 things that they should start working on today that would help them to move in the right direction?
Sure. I think that one thing that's really helpful when you're doing public speaking is to have either an outline of notes of talking points and or a presentation. PowerPoint's kind of the old school, and I still use it, method of visual representation of any sort of presentation that you're doing. And I think it can be both a blessing and a curse because you can rely on it too heavily and find yourself staring at the slides and reading off of them instead of communicating with your audience. But it gives you a framework and makes sure that you cover everything that you want to touch upon in your presentation. And you know that if you go completely blank, you can look over at the slide and there's something on there that you can say. And so I think presentations, getting savvy at making your own presentations, learning how to use different presentation software, include audio clips, include video clips, learn how to brand the template that you use that has, your company name and your company colors and your logo and website and all of those things. Those are great. Start off where you're most comfortable would be my second tip. Right? Not everyone's comfortable speaking at American Association for Justice National Annual Convention like I have in front of hundreds of people. Start small. You can always volunteer to give a talk at a religious institution that you're involved with or a community group that you're involved with about something that would be helpful. If you're an estate planning attorney, you can have let me give you the basics of things that you need to get together before you meet with an attorney to write your will, right? Or here's a form that you can use to write your will and we'll talk about it. So I think getting the smaller audience, if you need it first, even doing something like this, a podcast online where they don't see your face, so maybe you're more comfortable speaking, find your comfort zone to start with and then build from there. It's okay if it's not speaking to 1,000 people the first time. And another one would be practice, right? You want to practice to the point that you're comfortable with the material that you're delivering, but not to the point where it sounds canned or rehearsed. And once you kind of master the balance of all of those skills, you really, especially in the digital age today, you have the opportunity to become an industry thought leader, even without being, a 25-year lawyer. You have the opportunity to push and promote yourself and your personal brand online in ways that we've never had before on social media. And so, it really is a inexpensive and easy way for younger people coming out of school wanting to hang out a shingle, or even, people joining a big firm that want to get their own speaking opportunities to really develop a niche in their industry as a thought leader or an expert in a particular area.
Completely right there. And I have to say that these are great points. And if you didn't listen, didn't take notes, go back. That's a nice thing about podcasts is you have the ability to be able to rewind. So go back 15 seconds, listen to what she said. Go back a minute and listen to what she said, because those 4 points that she just made are gold, and you want to make sure that you are taking advantage of those. Now, are there organizations, are there other things that you took advantage of? You said you started to network, you started getting involved in different associations, but are there specific things, like specific organizations, specific opportunities that you took advantage of in law school that helped to frame who you are today and that would help others to do the same? Or if not, if you went back in time right now and you could change anything about law school that would help you have found is there anything that you would say in that regard?
I have a friend that was nervous about speaking, and she's really is a tremendous litigator. And she found that going to Toastmasters was really helpful for her. That's a group that some people like that are kind of new to public speaking and want to practice with a group. And I've heard really great things about it. Kind of a big talker and don't get that nervous. So I never had to do it. What I did enjoy in school that I felt challenged me from a speaking perspective was I participated in a clinic, the immigration clinic at the University of Houston Law Center in its inaugural year. And we got to represent clients that were, being deported and help them hopefully be able to stay in the United States. And, this was a while ago before the laws have changed regarding immigration. And I just found it personally very rewarding to see as a third-year law student with a student bar card how much I was able to actually help someone and how appreciative they were to have me help them, even though I was, a 24-year-old law student that wasn't licensed yet. And so I think putting yourself in contexts where you may not feel like you have like the full skill set yet, you may be a little bit uncomfortable, will wind up teaching you more than you could have ever imagined. It was one of the most rewarding experiences I had in law school and really shaped the way that I pursued my career after that and my thoughts on immigration forever from the cases that I was able to work on.
As we finish up today, one of the things that I always ask people to leave our audience with, if there is one piece of advice that you could give to someone, whether they be someone that is just entering law school, someone that is in law school, or just entering their career, what's one piece of advice that you would give them to finding success in a legal career today?
For sure. Sorry. I would say don't be afraid to reach out. The more that I reached out, even cold called people that I didn't know, the better things got for me professionally. You never know how one connection that you make at a certain point in your career, whether it's in school, after school, or way after school, which is, I guess, where I am now, what that will evolve into. I wound up getting my dream job as a partner in my last law firm through a professional contact that I met at law school, who later was in court and overheard another attorney talking about how they were looking for someone with my skill set and mentioned me. And we just happen to be friends. Reach out. If there's someone that's practicing what you want to practice or something you think you might want to practice, send them a message on LinkedIn. Don't be afraid. The worst they can do is ignore you. And most people, if they're active on LinkedIn, they won't ignore you. I get people asking to shadow me or to come in and meet with me or to take me for coffee just to kind of pick my brain and hear about what I do for a living all the time. I always go. I enjoy it. I think it's very important to help lift each other up. And so I just would encourage everyone to not be afraid to reach out to people in the legal community for mentoring and career advice.
I appreciate you sharing that, and I am going to make sure that we put a link in our notes today to your firm. I want people to see what you are doing. And are there any other resources or books or anything else that you might throw out to people today that would be a great read, a great resource for them as they move forward in their careers?
Sure. There is an attorney named Carolyn Elefant. It's like elephant, but with an F instead of a PH. And she runs a blog called My Shingle. And it is really designed to help solo and small firm practitioners who are just starting out kind of save money and learn technology. And it is one of the, oldest and most prolific blogs in that area. And I have enjoyed it very much over the years and have gotten to kind of know her online. And I think she's a great person. I also think it's really important to learn about virtual law practice. And there's an attorney, Steph Kimbrough, Kimbro, who is sort of nationally known for setting up one of the first really successful virtual law practices. And she speaks, and I believe that she mentors people as well, and different things like that. There's also Solo Practice University. It's a great resource where you can take classes online to learn more about small firms, starting your own firm. The possibilities are endless. I have a Feedly. It's an RSS reader, and I subscribe to hundreds of different feeds so that I can organize and manage all of the different content that I want to read. And, I have a lot in my Feedly, but I would say the things that I enjoy the most are, industry related blogs like Attorney at Work, Lawyerist, Above the Law. There are just some great blogs out there that have fun stories as well as informative stories. And, the internet is endless.
I appreciate you sharing everything today. I truly appreciate your time and for you to be on and sharing all of this wisdom with us. I'm going to put some links in our notes today with all of the people and some of the other links to her practice so that you can better get a feel for what she's doing, but also some links to some of the resources that she just mentioned so that you can access those as well. Stacy, thank you so much for joining us today, for sharing your journey, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Well, that was another great guest this week on the Law School Insider. If you have an interest in being a guest on the show, drop me an email at lawschoolinsider@cooley, COOLEY.edu. And thank you all for listening today. And remember, you have the ability and right to take control of your law school success. I hope you'll continue listening, creating a plan for success that will prepare you to achieve the dreams that you have set for yourself. Talk to you next time. Thanks for listening. You're on your way to being a law school insider. Please subscribe to stay connected and come back again next time as we speak to more students, lawyers, and employers.